Traders, welcome to a new segment today. Uh, so starting today, I will be doing short videos of market overviews this week. Um, and welcome to Wolf Wall Street. It's weekly, I don't know, I guess weekly updates on the charts. And I'm not gonna be teaching anything today. I'm just gonna give you just a little overview of what it is the market's doing today. Um, if you like me to do a pair that you like, go ahead and email me or message me on social media, and I will go ahead and do a video. And I have no problem doing it. It's fairly quickly. I just get it. So today, we're gonna go ahead and take a look at some pairs today. I'm just gonna do little short ones. I'm not gonna do big ones yet. I'm not gonna do a lot of them because there's a lot of pairs. But like I said, if you want me to do pairs, just email me or message me. You can find me anywhere. Follow me on Wulfofwallstreet slash on Instagram. Write it down for you somewhere so you can get it at the end of the video. So we're gonna go ahead and take a look at the AUD USD today, and this is how I'm looking at it today. Just a quick recap. Let's go ahead and take a look here. So let's go ahead and go to the weekly chart and take a look what I'm seeing. So what we're seeing is that the market has driven prices or really driven the market, and I'm gonna draw it off for you so you can understand it. So the market has been driven itself to have an impulse, have this big impulse to the downside, and then we're inside of corrective structure, which as you can see, it has been happening for the past months, for the past 3 months, 1, 2, 3 months right here. It started January of 2016, December in 2016. We started getting into this corrective structure. Now, if you understand wave theory, the way it works is that we have a structure, an impulse, and then we have a correction. We typically don't know when this big correction will happen, but what we do expect it is to have the same volume of we expect it to extend to the downside at some point in the future. It could take months, it could take a year, it doesn't matter. But what you want to do is you want to be really careful on this corrective structure, because this is where the market is correcting itself. But really, the reality is it might come down either to this target zone at some point in the future, which it has to. This is a corrective structure right here, and then we have another impulse, the second impulse to the downside. You can see it. You can even see it happening. That happened back in 2009. We had an impulse to the upside. We had a correction for a couple months. And then we have this impulse to the upside, and again we had an impulse here. I'm a corrective impulse, and typically you don't want to miss this. You really don't want to miss this. And as you can see, it's creating that impulse, that correction here. So we might see the market do all this before we see it. Let me go ahead and cinch that up a little bit. So we might see the market, just do corrective and then have it come down eventually at some point in the future. So let me get that out of the way for you. Let me go ahead and get this cleared up. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and go to the 4-hour chart or the daily chart, and let's take a look. So we are inside this corrective structure. We did one of our mentors did show us that this was a corrective structure, and then we had an impulse to the downside again. We had another correction right here as well, and then we had an impulse to the downside. Now we're looking at this and we're actually seeing that this is a corrective structure. So what I'm doing is I'm hoping the market will not move anywhere past this point. Okay, come down, create this correction here, right here, correct a correction, and then come down at some point. So what it's going to do is create a structure and then come down and create that impulse select to the downside, and then we can start looking at to see if the market will do another corrective structure again and then come down and give us another opportunity to get inside the sell. And I want you to see it that way. So so right now what's happening is, so we might see it come down in the next couple days. We might see this is a nice little short trade that you can do. This is gonna move up eventually here like this, move up here and then come down. So we might see it come up, we might see it correct, we might see it correct itself one more time and come up here. Oops. Right, we might see it come up here and then we might see it just come down again. So if you're taking a look at it, if you're looking to get inside a small little trade, you can potentially see this as a corrective structure. So there's a correction within a correction. Or if you just want to do a little short time trade, if the opportunity does indicate us that this is a movement to the upside for a little bit, maybe this is where a target price should be at, we can see that if it does correct here, come up here and then come down again and move to the downside. So be careful with that. Okay, the last couple of days, last week, we saw that this was a corrective structure. Some of the I called it out a couple of days before it happened on the 8th, I'm sorry, on the 7th, and some traders took the trade, some people didn't, and they came out with a good amount of pips here. As well, we waited here, we didn't take a trade here yet. We wanted to see if the market will continue to move into the downside again, so we waited. We're just waiting for this to correct. I took a small trade here, saw the correction here, and then it moved up to the upside, hitting my target, and then took a profit there. Well, let's see, and let's take a look at another pair. Let's take a look at the GBP pound, the British pound, and what it's doing right now is that, let's take a look at a weekly chart. Let's see, here it is. Okay, so what I'm seeing here is that this market is creating, what it's doing is correcting itself. As you can see, we saw a lot of correction here, corrective structure here. We saw it come down again. Then again, we saw another corrective structure there. Okay, corrective structure right there as well. What I mean by correction structure, it creates a consolidation before it does the impulse. An impulse is a sharp move to wherever direction of the previous impulse was. So right now, we're seeing that this market is correcting itself at the point, and we particularly don't know where it's going to go yet. But when I have my MACD here, it's telling me that this movement is potentially creating lower lows and lower highs. So what I'm seeing is that this is corrective, and we might be able to see it come down right. Come on. So we might be able to see it come down further. And if you take a look at this at a daily chart, we see that this market is being corrective. Okay, and then we're starting to see, we're gonna see if this breaks through this this trend line. We're seeing that this is a potential movement to the downside. So you want to stay inside a sells. You want to particularly sell this market. You don't want to be in the buy zone yet. We have an A, B, C, D, and then we got a D going down there. and we could potentially see in it. Maybe it'll come right up here, do another retest, and then come down again. That could look like a 3-wave structure. It could look like a 5-wave structure. We don't know yet. But if you take a look at this, we're seeing that this is correcting itself. Okay, and that's what we want to see. So right now, if you want to take a sell sign for it, go for it. You're good to go for that. And you were potentially seeing, let's see, let me go ahead and fix this for you. Let me get the colors on here. So let's see, let me fix all this. Okay, cool. All right, so we're seeing that the market might do a corrective. It's doing the corrective structure for a short time trade, so it might even come down. Oops. So it might even come down to this level. Okay, so okay, here it is. So your target zone should be at 618, or it should be, if you want to be safe and sound, you could be looking at a 127 retracement. So these are the 2028, or we're looking at a 1879. It coming down there. So you're safe on that. If you take a look at the MACD, you're looking at a movement structurally at the downside. So we're looking at that. Those are the target zones that we're looking at. Let's take a look at the oil. The US oil, we predicted that this market was going to come down. We took a sell sign and we're still in the sell. Let's take a look at the weekly chart and show you why I took that trade. So we saw that the market again had an impulse to the downside here. Okay, and then we're starting to see that it had it's a corrective move, just like here, right there. Okay, took a while for it to do. It took about a couple years for it to develop, but when it happened, you saw a big impulse to the downside. We don't know how long this will take, but what we are looking at, okay, on the daily chart, hold on, we're looking at it and we're seeing that the market is continuing to move to the downside. It did the certain behaviors. This is a behavior here, corrective structure here, impulse, corrective, impulse, corrective, impulse, corrective, impulse. If I take a look at this at a 4-hour chart, okay, I see that there is a correction right here from here to here, and then it did a impulse. The impulse leg, unfortunately, doesn't look that pretty, but you can look at this in many ways. You can look at this as being corrective. This is corrective as well. This is corrective, 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 corrective here. So you can take a look at this in many ways, but the correction never ends. So look at this, correction. So you can actually look at this as a corrective structure. Okay, so we had a impulse leg, corrective, impulse. So right now what we're waiting for is this market to create the correction and then come down and hit our target zone right here at the 40.91. And that's just exactly what it's exactly what we're expecting it to do. So if you're taking the sells on the the US oil, that looks like a good, those are good setups for sales. You look at this structurally right here, it's creating lower lows. And what else? Let's take a look at the hour, see how that looks. So here's what it does. Again, so we looked at this and we said we have an impulse, we have a correction, and then we took that trade to the downside, and we're still inside this sell because we're just waiting for another impulse downside movement. Again, we're waiting for this to come down and create lower lows, and that's what you want to see. Let's take a look at the GBP JPY. As you can see, if we take a look at the daily chart, the weekly chart. Okay, you're going to see, this is what you're going to see. You're going to be able to see that there's a corrective structure here. An impulse leg to the upside. Okay, you got an impulse leg to the upside. Then you got yourself a correction right in here. Okay, we got yourself a consolidation move. So let's take a look at the daily chart. As you can see here, we're looking at this and we're seeing impulses to the upside. So this is a buy setup. We're looking at a buy setup here. We're looking at the market to continue to this really big impulse that's going to come right up here. It's already collecting. It already collected enough money to do that impulse leg and drive prices right up here to the 160s, which is right up here, and that is a possibility. If you want to measure out the movement, what you could do is hit that target, hit our target at 161 extension, but we're looking at this and we're going to start seeing that this is going to create that movement to the upside, and that's okay. It may take a little bit. It could take until the end of May, until the beginning of May, but we're looking at this and it's getting ready to move up. Okay, so this thing is ready to move up at any point now. So if you like a look at this, we have correction here. Okay, and then we have our impulse legs right here, even though it's not that big, right there. Go, correction, impulse. So we're looking at it and it's gonna go and create that big sharp move. You don't want to miss that move. You definitely don't want to be anywhere outside that move. So last week we saw this, and let's take a look at it from the weekly chart first. So we saw this move and we said this is an impulse leg. Let's see, how did I look at okay, so this is a weekly chart. So what I did, I saw that this is a movement. Oops. Okay, I don't want to do that. Okay, so we saw that this is a correction. An impulse. It's a very small impulse, by the way, even though it's part of a greater scale of movement to the downside. But that's what we want to see right now. It's this area right now. Let's get into this short time trade. This is a weekly trade. So what we saw is that we had an impulse to the upside, and then we have a correction. We're expecting it to come right up here in that target price of 1618 at 139. If you take a look at it from a daily perspective, you'll see that this was a corrective. An impulse correction, and what we're expecting it to do. Since last week, since we saw that trade, we saw a trading opportunity right there. We took a look at it and we said we saw a corrective structure. Then we saw a nice movement to the upside, the impulse to the upside. So what I'm looking at right now is I'm looking at this and I'm waiting for this to break out. When that happens, we're expecting either the market to do a movement to the upside. So what's going to do is it's going to go corrective and then move up to the upside, and that's what we want to see. That's what, in a perfect world, we wanted that to happen already. Or it could either do that, or it could either do this. It could come retest, do a little bit another impulse again, and either come right up to this target price. If you want to do a short time trade, you could see it, and we're looking at the target price coming up to a short time trade. It breaks out of the 1618, it breaks out to the 124, then you can expect to see it and start to make that movement to the upside. You know, we start seeing correction and upside, correction and upside. So we can expect to see that in the next couple months, if that's the situation, which is gonna have to play out. And some people ask me, well, what about the news? You don't really have to trade the news. So trading news is there's no statistics that show that trading news will give you a correct. You know, nobody's really trading news because it's not a profitable business. It's very misleading and it's very slow. So like I said, that's our weekly look. If you want to follow me, on Instagram, at Wulfofwallstreet. Wulfofwallstreet on Instagram, and I also have a Facebook, but mostly Instagram. I like to keep my I like to keep it real private. If you want to do that, you can do that, or you can follow us here on tradingview.com. I'm under Wulfofwallstreet here as well. I do have some ideas in there too, like we've been seeing. If you want to take a look at some ideas that I've published in the last couple of months, you take a look at these and take a look at how I've been doing for the last couple of months, which I've been doing pretty well. Let me show you one of the trades that I had. Let's see how this plays out. Let's see, let me show you what I did. So yeah, I mean, we're still in this trade here. We're still profitable on this trade. I did a short time trade here. Let's see, let's take a look at another one. Let's see right here, we're looking at a long trade. I don't know why it's not, let's see, did I do a short on this? I think I went on long-term buy, but I think I might have put something else here, but it's okay. As long as you guys see that there was a long-term buy. Let's take a look at it here as well. I did a short on this. We're still winning on this. Let's see what else. So yeah, I mean, I have my account here if you want to follow us. I also have a Twitter account. I also post graphs there as well. And you know, you can follow us on Wulfofwallstreet on twitter.com. So thank you for watching, and like the video, subscribe to the videos. So I hope you enjoy it and have a good one.